Hello, it's me, Nolan. Welcome to the Reviewers Clan. Today I will be doing my first ever movie review on this channel, and it is of Transformers 4 Age of Extinction, which I saw last night. Autobots return in Michael Bay's fourth installment of the Transformers franchise, Age of Extinction. The buzz has been louder than Bumblebee. Although the film has gotten a ton of anticipation, I just wasn't sure. Most people were excited because the Dinobots were going to make an overdue appearance in the film, but I still wasn't sure because whenever a Transformers film comes out, everyone forgets its disappointing predecessors and are ready to love it. However, the films almost have a disappointing record. Uh, I also had mixed feelings from the trailers. They looked very much like Transformers 3 Dark of the Moon, which was very boring. The reviews rolled in, and they weren't as exciting as the film, but I had friends who loved it and thought I'd loved it, and thought I would love it too. So judging from the reviews and the fact that I had to prepare for some things, Michael Bay had an early I had to prepare for some things. Michael Bay held an early screening, and I had gotten a chance to read one of the early reviews, and it was negative. The reviewer complained that the Dinobots weren't there very long, and I had prepared for them to only have a short appearance. I had also heard that the film was 2 hours and 45 minutes. So I knew this was going to be very long, which I'm fine with. In fact, as much as I like The Amazing Spider-Man 2, it wouldn't have been as cluttered if it were longer. I also knew this was Michael Bay, so at least 70% of the film would be explosions. I walked into the theater with mixed expectations. When I walked out of the theater, my feelings about the film were also mixed. To sum it up, of what the first half was what I hoped for. The second half was what I hoped it would not be. The first half was upbeat, but it basically slowed down as the film continued until it was Dark of the Moon all over again. One good thing was the cast. It was really an improvement over the performances in Transformers 3. Shia LaBeouf, the star of the first three films, has been swapped out for Lone Survivor's Mark Wahlberg. I actually really liked his character, Cade Yeager. I thought he'd be another cliched dad with another cliched single dad with financial issues, but he turned out quite interesting. He's an overprotective father who wants to do what's best for his daughter, Teresa, played by Nicola Peltz, while also respecting his wife's dying wish. In Transformers 3, the main human antagonist was Patrick Dempsey. This time, Kelsey Grammer fills those shoes. Grammer does an ominous job as a villain, and it's actually explained why he teams up with the evil Transformers, while Patrick Dempsey's character was completely unnecessary, as if the Decepticons actually destroyed the Earth, which he helped them do, he would also die. But Stanley Tucci plays Joshua, a billionaire scientist who creates Galvatron, later revealed to be Megatron, the main antagonist of the first film. Tucci also does a great job, and although his character Joshua can get a little bit cheesy at points, it is funny to see him in life-threatening scenarios where, although he is surprised, acts like he typically would in real, as if nothing was happening. The concept of the film felt original at first, but in the end, it was just the typical Autobots versus Decepticons. At the beginning, I was intrigued by the fact that the humans were the bad guys, not the Decepticons. Another thing, the film should have focused even more on how the government responded to the Battle of Chicago. This could this could have spread the message that government sometimes rushes ideas in an attempt to respond to catastrophes. This was this was especially true in our society when it comes to stuff like gun control. There were, as usual, too many explosions, unfortunately. However, I think the problem with Bay's movies are not that they focus on one element of his of I think the problems with Bay's movies are not that there are always too many explosions in them. Sometimes there are, but the problem is actually that it focuses on one element of the film and doesn't include as much effort, on the whole point of the movie. And Transformers, obviously, it focuses too much on the explosions and special effects and not enough on the plot. But if you look at films like Pearl Harbor, another film directed by Michael Bay, that got negative reviews, but it was not because there were too many explosions, it was because it did not focus on what the audience wanted it to focus on. It focused too much on the lovers and not enough on not the historical side, and it basically became a WW2 soap opera. My final complaint is the special effects. The CGI looks fake, and the slow motion sequences are just as bad as in Transformers Revenge of the Fallen, which is disappointing because the one thing that Transformers 3 actually got right was that they actually improved the special effects. My final verdict is that the beginning of Transformers 4 is very, very good, and that's what it should have been throughout the movie. Unfortunately, there was a lot of pressure to make this one of the biggest box office movies of the summer. And we all know that unfortunately, bigger does not always mean better, and that was one of those case scenarios. In the end, Transformers for Age of Extinction is not a bad movie, but it still could use some improvements. It's quite mediocre. I'm going to give it a 6 out of 10. Now, I believe Michael Bay and Mark Wahlberg are actually signed on to do a Transformers 5 and 6. Hopefully, those will be better, but this is my review. Thank you. Goodbye.